So I can welcome everybody to the annual meeting of the Board of Directors of the Environmental Facilities Corporation. Today is Thursday, June 24th, 2021. Mr. Chair, if I may call the roll, please.
Yes, please.
Mr. Stefanko.
Here.
Mr. Sokol.
Present.
Mr. Leary.
Present. Thank you.
Mr. Corcoran.
Present.
Mr. Marquis.
Present.
Mr. Krasansky.
Here.
And Mr. Zarowski.
I am here.
Mr. Chair, we have a quorum of the board. Before we get started, just to alert everyone, we will be going through the resolutions a little bit differently. That is resolutions 5 through 10, the financings. Just briefly, what will occur is I will read the resolution. The presenter will present. We will then move on to the next resolution. I will read it. The presenter will present, and we'll follow that for the slides. And then at the end, Chairperson Stefanko will go through and ask for a first and second, and then we'll vote on them in succession like that. Chairperson, the floor is yours.
Great. Thank you, Thomas. What's a motion for the approval of the draft minutes from the June 3, 21 board meeting? Unless there's any comments or questions on it. Discussion.
I can make that motion to approve.
Thank you. I think that was Roger. How about a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Francis. With nothing further, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, should be unanimous. Report of the chair. So I don't have much to report other than welcoming Adam. It'd be great to have him here and looking forward to working together. Also want to thank Charlie and Francis for chairing the respective committees. Get into those shortly. And that is all. I know Joe has a little bit more detail. I want to go into a discussion on Adam and his background, but welcome aboard, Adam.
Thank you very much. Well, it's a pleasure to be here. Looking forward to working with all of you. I don't want to get in front of my good friend, Mr. Rubito, so I'll let him go, and then I'll happy to answer, provide any background that would be helpful. But again, very excited to be here with you all.
Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Chair. Today's a good day here at EFC and a good day for our EFC 2021 initiative. I really am pleased to have an opportunity to share why Mr. Zarowski's experience and body of work make this such a strong appointment by the governor, and obviously the New York State Senate concurred. But it's so, and for him to join what I think is an esteemed board. Adam currently serves as a senior advisor to Rewiring America, which is an important nonprofit organization dedicated to promoting economically beneficial solutions to the climate challenges that literally the world is facing. Adam was, until 2019, the Director of State Policy and Agency Management for New York State, and in that capacity, he led the development and implementation of major policy initiatives for the state and was responsible for the strategic management of the state's executive agencies and authorities. Adam previously served as Deputy Secretary for Energy and Finance, where he oversaw all policy and regulatory aspects of New York State's energy, climate, and financial portfolios. Among other things, he was responsible for helping lead the implementation of the state's climate agenda. Some argue the most important climate agenda in the world, never mind the country, including establishing the U.S. Climate Alliance of 25 states and territories committed to upholding the Paris Climate Accords and the decarbonization of the over $200 billion New York State Common Retirement Fund. Prior to his government service, Mr. Zarowski was a partner in the prestigious law firm of Cahill, Gordon, and Rindell, where he represented companies and boards of directors in a variety of litigation, regulatory, and governance matters. Currently teaches climate policy at Columbia University School of International Public Affairs, has taught, published, and lectured on topics ranging from corporate purpose the clean energy transition in various capacities over the course of his career. Adam holds an MB with honors in political science from Stanford University, came back east to earn a JD cum laude from Harvard Law School. As a colleague in state government, I found Adam to be one of the most competent and effective leaders I've had the pleasure to serve with. The EFC team, our partners in state government and local government, and our stakeholders are better for your service on this board, Mr. Zarowski, and on behalf of them, we all welcome you, sir, and thank you for your service in joining this important board.
Well, thank you for that warm and wow, if that guy is you know, that sounds like quite a guy to work with. So I appreciate the. I don't know this. I don't know. That's a lot to live up to. So thank you so much, Joe, and welcome. You know, I'm really excited to be here. So I really am glad for the welcome. As Joe mentioned, just to cut to the chase, for me, the focus of the work I've been doing over many years now really is the intersection how finance can be used to help us meet environmental goals, climate goals, how we can do that in a way that is both leveraging public dollars, partnering as appropriate with private capital, and really trying to lead the way on that if we can. And that's, to me, what's so exciting about this opportunity and under the leadership of management and this board. And so I'm today I'm gonna probably listen and learn as much as possible, but I really look forward to providing whatever help I can in whatever capacity I can. So looking forward to it. Thanks again for the warm welcome.
Mr. Chair, shall I continue with the president's report?
Go ahead.
Thank you. So now I will save a more detailed report for our next meeting, which I'm hoping may be in person for most of us. But it'll mark a little bit past the 6 months of our efforts here at EFC over the course of this calendar year, and be able to take a look back on our EFC 2021 initiative and to see how we're doing, ensure we're on track. So I look forward to having that conversation. But a couple of issues I think are noteworthy just to share today. As our world at home has begun to open up, so are we here at EFC. We've received guidance from the Governor's Office of Employee Relations and the Executive Chamber, and the team will be back on the field slowly but surely. And we certainly are looking forward to having everyone back here healthy, happy, and synergistic, if you will. And then the last thing I'd like to talk about, I'd like to take the opportunity to acknowledge that yesterday, June 23rd, was International Women in Engineering Day. For those who aren't familiar with it, it's an international campaign to raise the profile of women in engineering and to celebrate the outstanding achievements of women engineers throughout the world. And allow me to speak, if I may, on behalf of the board and the rest of the team, acknowledging the outstanding achievements of women engineers here at EFC, where we really are setting the bar high and setting a very high standard, not just for women engineers, but for the quality of work that we do in engineering. The EFC team would like to express how honored we are to serve with really an extraordinary group of women engineers. We respect and honor the critical contribution that they make every day on behalf of the people in New York State. So I'd like to thank the team led by Molly Larkin, the team members Karen Rusin, Rachel Kenyon, Danny Baldwin, Lydia Lake, Caitlin Penna, Marnie Chance, and Liz Ritchie, Ludmila Green, and Rebecca Lanahan. I'd just like to acknowledge you for the work that you do and for being extraordinary leaders in your field, and we're lucky to have you here at EFC. With that, Mr. Chair, that's my report today.
Thank you, Joe. Well said. Well said. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, we did have 2 committees met prior to this meeting, the Finance and Audit Committees, chaired by Francis and Charlie, respectively. We'll start with committee reports, and we'll start with Francis.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, did you say start with me?
Yes.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Good morning, everyone. The Finance Committee met this morning. We had a full quorum of our committee. There were two big items that we went over. The first was we conducted, we of course approved our minutes from our February meeting, but our big items were we reviewed the annual Finance Committee chair. We did the annual review of it, and there were no proposed changes. And so, Mr. Chairman, it was unanimously voted on, and we recommend from the Finance Committee that the full board approve that item when it appears on our agenda today for the Finance Committee charter to be readopted by the full board. The second item we had was a presentation by Albert on the annual debt report that we do every year. And this was for the annual debt report for the year ended March 31, 2021. And again, it is the unanimous recommendation of the Finance Committee that the annual debt report be accepted and approved by the full board upon the presentation of ID number 2 at today's board agenda. And so those were the items and our discussions and our recommendations for full board approval for today's meeting, Mr. Chairman.
Great, thank you, Francis. Good discussion from the rest of the board. Great. So prior to going on to the Audit Committee, I would like to call for a motion in a second to re-adopt the committee charter.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Francis. Could I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Can't see who that was.
James.
Jim Leary.
Thank you,
Yep.
James. Sorry. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that sounded unanimous. Okay, so that's it for the finance presentation. We'll move now to Audit Committee presentation, chaired by Charlie.
Yeah, the Audit Committee, Matt, had a presentation by KPMG. Discussed we'll get to this in the I think it's ID number 1, but this was the annual audit and presentation of the financials. Wide-ranging discussion. We also talked about the annual requirement that we discuss and vote either to create or not an internal audit function, internal position. We had that discussion, opted not to do it. And we also took a look at the charter and made no changes on that.
Chairman,
Mr.
you're
Chair,
on mute.
You are on mute, Mr. Chair.
Apologies. As I said to myself, it is for action is a motion, second and a vote to approve the auditor's report.
Yeah, so I'll make a motion. Yep, to approve the auditor's report along with the financials of the corporation.
Have a second, please.
I'll second.
Thank you, Vita. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
None opposed. Okay, next item is vote to accept the recommendation of the committee that an internal audit function is not required at this time.
Yeah, I'll make the motion not to create this function, not to designate someone to do that position, take that position at EFC this year at this time. So I'll make that motion to not to take that action.
Thank you, Charlie. Second, please.
I can second that.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Unanimous. Okay, next item is, again, a motion and a vote for the readoption of the Audit Committee charter. Have a
Yeah,
motion.
so I'll make the motion to, adopt the same charter, no changes that we had, that exists for the Audit Committee. I'll make that motion.
I'll
Thank you,
second.
I'll,
Sorry, Vito.
Dual seconds from Francis and Vita. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Also, I think also at this point, I want to just state for the record, really, that we discussed in the committee that the lead partner from KPMG has one more year, Marty Dunbar, to be the lead partner in that capacity. So we'll have to change lead partners. We don't have to change the firm, but we'll have to rotate the lead partner after one more year. So just we talked about that, and we were all aware of that.
Thank you, Charlie. Yes, thank you to Jeff and Marty for all their assistance on the audit as well.
Definitely.
Okay, next item of business is performance reviews of the committees. First one is the Governance Committee. I would like to gain consent of the full board that the Governance Committee is effective in fulfilling its responsibilities.
I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion that want to discuss it. I think under Vita in particular, she really dives deep into over the last number of years that she's been doing it, dives very deep into some of these governance issues, and I appreciate it. There's a lot there, an awful lot of required policies, and I think that it's great the way that she takes it on, and that we discuss certain things at certain times that are appropriate. And so, no, I think Governance Committee is, these days is a really important committee.
Agreed, Charlie. I second that observation. Any other discussion on the Governance Committee? Again, thank you. Charlie mentioned it. I forgot that it is chaired by Vita. Any other discussion? Okay, so we have full consent there of the board. The next committee, performance review,
Wait,
is the
Mr. Chair.
Finance Committee, which is chaired by Francis.
Mr.
Any
Chair?
discussion before we consent to that?
Hold on, Mr. Chair. We need
Okay, go ahead, Thomas. Sorry, did I screw something
yeah.
up?
Mr. Krasinski was the first. We need a second for the previous.
Oh, okay, correct.
I think the chairman seconded that in his comment. So there was a motion from Charlie and a second from our chairman.
Okay,
Does that work, Thomas?
that's good.
Okay.
And then all in favor, right?
Yeah, so I will, yeah, if there's no more further discussion, we'll take agreement that it's consent its effectiveness.
aye.
Aye.
Okay, that was a little bumpy. I apologize. So let's move to the Finance Committee performance review. And again, that board, the committee is chaired by Francis. Any discussion before we move to a motion, second, and vote?
Not from I have no comment, Chairman.
I'll make a motion to just again the performance. I think that just like I give it really compliments not just to Francis but also to EFC staff. That every question that comes up, Francis has a great background in this area. He's usually one who goes into the detail, but we all feel free to ask any and all questions. The presentations are always excellent. So I commend the chair of finance and the job he's doing and the performance of the committee. And just, we get everything we need. That's for sure.
I definitely agree, Charlie. Again, as the chair, I will second that consent and totally agree. Each of the three independent members that have been serving on the three committees so far. It's very professional, thorough, and complimentary to all the EFC staff, definitely. Any other discussion? Okay, so Thomas, I think we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the final committee is the Audit Committee, and it's chaired by Charlie. Again, is there any discussion before we move into full consent and a motion and a vote?
Make that motion, Chairman.
And I'll second it. And as discussion, I would just add that it is a very important function of this corporation. And, you know, it's always in good hands with Charlie. And he is very diligent and very thoughtful and very thorough in not only the materials and the preparation that he provides, but also, I believe, his interaction with Albert and with KPMG itself. And so, you know, I want to thank him for the good job that he does on that and for the good questions that the members ask when we're in our committee and doing our work in that committee.
Thank you, Francis. Okay, so we do, if I'm not mistaken, we have a motion and a second from Vita and Francis, maybe vice versa. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. The next item is pursuant to the corporation's bylaws. Each committee member will serve until the next annual meeting of the board and thereafter until their successor's appointment. So I will be recommending a reappointment of the committee memberships consisting of the following. The policy committee. Do we need to have discussion, Thomas, on this item?
We discussed eliminating the policy committee as it's, you know, since gone somewhat dormant. It's open for the members to have a discussion of whether or not we think, you know, at this time we can do away with it.
Okay. Is there any discussion there from any other members?
I was just going to say that I perceive that many of the policies and different things that we have to manage are dealt with in the governance as well as the other committees. So I was never really sure what fell out of there and that wasn't covered. I think we cover all of the policies in governance.
I would agree, Vita.
Yeah, I agree and concur.
Excellent. Okay, I will run through the memberships and the chair of each committee. So the Audit Committee is chaired by Charlie Krasansky. The three additional members would be Francis Corcoran, Vita DeMarchi, and Anna Zarasi. The Governance Committee, which is chaired by Vita DeMarchi, would consist of the additional three members, including Francis, Charles, and the Finance Committee, which is chaired by Francis Corcoran, would include Vita, Charles, and Adam as well. So those are the committees. Any discussion before I call for a motion? Great. I'll take a motion then.
I'll make that motion that we approve the committees for the next year.
Thank you, Francis. Charlie, I think that was you with a second.
Sure.
All those in favor?
Okay.
Aye.
All right, so that concludes the committee business. I don't think there's any additional unfinished business, Thomas, so we can move right to resolutions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. As I mentioned earlier, resolutions 1 through 4, we'll do it the traditional way, and then 5 through 10. I'll read the resolution. We'll have a presenter. We'll repeat that process, and then at the end, Mr. Chairperson will take a vote on all of the resolutions 5 through 10. So without further ado, resolution number 1, a resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation accepting the financial statements of the corporation for the fiscal year ended March 31st, 2021.
Thank you, Thomas. Can I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Charlie. Second.
I'll second.
Thank you. I think that was Francis. Albert, you have a presentation.
Yes, so Thank you. So before the board are the 2021 financial statements for the year ended March 31st. As discussed in the audit committee meeting, our independent auditors expect to issue an unmodified or clean opinion. A few financial highlights. Our net position is currently at $7.1 million and has increased by $2.3 million over the prior year. The revenue from our capitalization grant draws, as mentioned at the last board meeting, was down significantly due to a delay in the draw on our capitalization grants due to a memo issued by the EPA. So we're taking the cautious approach and waiting to draw. So it's really just a timing difference as opposed to a loss of revenue. Other significant financial highlight is due to lower interest income. This lower interest income due to a significantly lower rate environment than last year. And as discussed at the last meeting, a majority of our assets are short term, so we can finance our recipients on an on-demand basis. But even with that, we were still positive for the year, which I think really speaks to the strength of the revolving fund structure. And lastly, there were no significant accounting policy changes for this year.
Thank you, Albert. Discussion.
I'll just, if I could just say for a minute, just compliments to the staff this year. And we know that things keep changing. This next year coming up could be a very exciting year for entities like EFC in the infrastructure business. So it's just, we think we're on a good footing, but again, things could change dramatically. There could be an awful lot of new activity in new areas that we're involved in. But I think we're prepared for it. And we appreciate the staff at EFC management looking ahead, preparing for the opportunities that could come to New York State in these really important areas. And so, but again, compliments really to Albert on from us on this committee who have talked to and quizzed the auditors and looked at the performance and where things are. So, thank you.
Agreed. Thank you, Charlie, and thank you, Albert, for the presentation. Any additional discussion or questions? Okay. We'll have a vote then. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Unanimous. Thomas, resolution number 2.
Resolution number 2, a resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation with respect to the review and approval of the annual debt report of the corporation.
Thank you. Could I have a motion, please?
I would make a motion, Mr. Chairman.
I can second that.
Roger.
Thank you, Roger.
Thank you. All right. So before the board, we have the annual debt report for the year ended March 31st, 2021. Some highlights. So on the first schedule is the schedule of state revolving fund debt. So we issued 2 series for just over $294 million in par value. The first being Series 2020A, which refunded Series 2010A, as well as refinanced a short-term loan with the New York City Municipal Water Authority. And that closed on April 8th, 2020. The second issuance was our Series 2020B under the 2010 MFI, which was a pooled financing and refunded Series 2010C, and well as refinanced short-term financings for a number of municipalities. And that closed in December 2020. Next, we have our schedule of state appropriation bonds. Our state appropriation bonds have matured fully. So we no longer have any on our books. This was a scheduled maturity as opposed to a call. Schedule 3 is private activity bonds. So we had one call for our 2010 A series for United Water, originally issued in September of 2010. So this was a standard 10-year call due to much lower interest rates on the market now than when this was issued. We also issued one series for Casella Waste. When we received authorization for 75 million and have issued 40 million. The final schedule is the detail of our cost of issuance for each of the state revolving fund series.
Thank you, Albert. Any other discussion? Okay. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Unanimous. Resolution number 3. Thomas.
Sure. Resolution number 3, a resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation authorizing the president of the corporation or designee to negotiate and enter into a contract for document collection and site visit services.
I have a motion, please.
I'll make that motion, Chairman.
Thank you, Vita.
I'll second the motion, Chairman.
Thank you. Presenter this time will be Tim.
Can you hear me now? Great, thank you. Okay, good news. Fantastic opportunity here for EFC to continue to get support for site visits to help ensure that communities that are receiving state revolving fund financial assistance are complying with all the program requirements. We did an RFP for services. We obtained several proposals. The winning proposer happens to be the firm that we had employed most previously, so they're experienced, Barton & Judas. They were doing work specifically on the clean water program. We've expanded their scope to also give us support on the drinking water program as well. So we've been able to, through competitive bid, bring in an experienced contractor to help both programs achieve the goal of ensuring that all the money that we give out is being built in accordance with the program requirements. The contract's for 3 years with a potential to extend an extra 2. Any questions?
Thanks, Tim. Any additional discussion or questions for Tim?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. All right, all those in favor? Aye.
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 Unanimous. Resolution number 4, Thomas.
Resolution number 4, a resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation with respect to the annual review and approval of the guidelines for the disposition of property of the corporation.
Thank you, Thomas.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Charlie.
And I can second that motion.
Thank you. James or Roger? Okay. Presenter this time will be Maureen McGrath.
Hi, everyone. Before you again this year are our guidelines for the disposition of property. This is required by the Public Authorities Accountability Act of 2005, and it requires us to adopt disposition of property guidelines to ensure that we have adequate controls in place to not only account for the property we currently own, but to ensure that any property that we do dispose of is done in accordance with the written policies we have in place. For the purposes of this policy, property is defined as anything in excess of $5,000 in value. So the board reviews this policy every year, and many of you will know that there's never really anything to report on that we've disposed of. So this is more of just a standard policy we need to have in place, but we haven't disposed of anything in that value in years, if ever. But if you have any questions, let me know.
Thanks, Maureen. Discussion.
Maureen, could you remind me again of the property we've disposed of?
If we have disposed of anything, it would be to surplus small items.
Got it.
You know,
That was, thank you.
Great. Okay.
Aye.
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 Unanimous. All right. So the next 5 resolutions will be in our new format. We'll be doing them consecutively before we take a motion vote, as Thomas mentioned earlier. Okay, Thomas, take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. All right, number 5, a resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation amending the prior authorizations for financial assistance to be provided by the corporation to certain recipients in connection with the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund.
Okay, our presenter for that item will be Audra.
Okay, so under this ID number, we have one financing maturity extension. It's for the town of Orleans. We would like to extend this from September 29th of this year out to March 29th of next year. This is a drinking water financing. They're working on getting third-party grants so that we can finalize their financing amounts and get them into a long-term financing. They've submitted some information on that already, and they're working with the other agencies to get those grants. We've dispersed all but about $1 million on the financing, and they are currently dispersing and finishing up. And this is a subsidized financing, of which total project costs are now approximately $15 million. So that's the one project for this ID. Are there questions on this before we move to the next ID? Okay, we'll go to ID number 6 then.
ID number 6, a resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation modifying the authorization for financial assistance to be provided to the New York City Municipal Water Finance Authority in connection with the Disaster Relief Appropriations Act 2013 and the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund.
Okay, we also have one project under this ID number. It's the first of a few projects I'll talk to you today that are extensions for Smelt financings. This one is the drinking water Smelt financing for New York City Water Municipal Finance Authority. And we are looking to extend that out until the end of next year. With a lot of the Smelt financings, there's been delays, obviously due to COVID and getting things going. So most of the extensions are for that reason, to allow the project's time to get complete so that we can also get the documentation we need in-house to draw down on that Smelt grant for converting these all to long-term. And for this one, it is their drinking water financing, and you can see a short description there on the screen. Are there any questions on this project before we move to ID 7? ID 7?
Thanks, Audra.
Thank you.
ID number 7, a resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation authorizing financial assistance payments to certain municipalities to fund eligible drinking water projects from funds appropriated for the New York State Water Infrastructure Improvement Act.
Thanks, Thomas. Presenter is David Phillips.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We have one project under this ID number today. It's for the village of Dansville in Livingston County, seeking a WIA grant of $3 million. The project is for significant upgrades to their distribution system, consisting of replacement of approximately 37,000 linear feet of severely aged and undersized water mains. And that includes replacement of hydrants, valves, and appurtenances. The project will replace small diameter mains, some of which are as old as 110 years and that have experienced numerous breaks and leakage. And the project will ultimately improve system flows, pressure, and water quality. Any questions on that? That's the end of that resolution.
Thanks, David. Discussion? Okay, ID number 8.
ID number 8, a resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation modifying the authorization for financial assistance to be provided to the New York City Municipal Water Finance Authority in connection with the Disaster Relief Appropriations Act of 2013 and the Clean Water State Revolving Fund.
Thanks, Thomas. Presenter for the next 2 items, 8 and 9, will be Audra.
Okay. Under this ID, we have one of those Smelt financings. This is the Clean Water New York City financing, and looking to extend that out to the end of next year to allow them to draw from us and complete it, and then for us to draw the financing down from EPA. This is a large one. The project as a whole is 161 million, and as with all of the Smelt financing, includes both loan and grant. Any questions on this project?
Maybe, Audra, just a real general question, maybe not about this specifically, just about interest rates right now. And this one says not to exceed 4%. About what is it now? And, just interested in what you anticipate this to be.
Yeah, we just did the bond deal that we did price that we will close next week. The TIC was roughly 1.3, I believe, so they're low. It's good. It's very good for our recipients.
Okay. Thank you. Great.
You're welcome. Okay, and then ID number 9.
ID number 9, a resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation modifying the authorization for financial assistance to be provided to certain recipients in connection with the Disaster Relief Appropriations Act of 2013 and the Clean Water State Revolving Fund.
Thank you, Thomas. Audra for final time.
Yep, we have 3 financings under this ID number, all of them Smelt. All of them extending out to the end of 2022. This first one for the town of North Hempstead, it's Clean Water, and they are working on a new pump station for the Belgrave Water Pollution Control District. The next financing is for Suffolk County, Clean Water. This is final effluent pump station rehabilitation project, and that is related to the Bergen Point wastewater treatment plant. And then the third project on this is also for Suffolk County, and that is extending the Bergen Point wastewater treatment plant to the Jones Beach Barrier Island. And those are the 3 under this item. Any questions?
Great. Thanks, Audra, for the presentation. Our final, number 10.
Last but not least, ID number 10, a resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation making certain determinations and authorizing certain actions in connection with the Clean Water State Revolving Fund and authorizing financial assistance payments to certain municipalities to fund eligible clean water projects from funds appropriated for the New York State Water Infrastructure Improvement Act.
Thank you, Thomas. Presenter will be Tim Burns.
Hello again. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Okay, before the board are 5 projects, 3 short-term, 2 long-term, pursuing just over $23 million worth of authorization in SRF and WEA grant. I take you through them individually. Village of Interlaken in Seneca County is getting a short-term interest-free financing as well as WEA grant in the amounts identified. This project began with an engineering planning grant that was awarded in 2015. And it is going to be taking on several items, including improvements at the treatment plant, new screens, a new membrane bioreactor, installing UV disinfection to meet new nitrogen and phosphorus limits. And they're also doing work in the collection system, manhole repair and replacement, as well as sewer work. Next.
Thank you, Tim. Any follow-up on item number 10?
Oh, that's the first of five.
That's the first one? Go ahead, keep going.
Yeah. Okay. Monroe County. Here's a second short-term loan. Treatment plant work at their Frank E. Van Laer treatment plant. They're doing it's the largest treatment plant in the city of Rochester. They're doing aeration system work. There's 20 large tanks. Their first phase is going to take on 2, make improvements, and then make adjustments to the other 18. Electrical work, instrumentation, replace the aeration diffusers, and install new blowers. A very large project, over $15 million. And here again, they also received a Water Infrastructure Improvement Act grant in the amounts identified. Next. Village of Portchester in Westchester County. It's right on the Connecticut border. Treatment plant is part of a series of treatment plants along the Long Island Sound coastline that are experiencing inflow and infiltration problems, then send their wastewater to the county treatment plants. EPA has issued an administrative order against the community, as well as against Westchester County. DEC is also bringing it in to address these sanitary sewer overflows. They're going to be lining over 3 miles of sewer, 18,000 feet, and about 79 manholes. This is the second phase of a 2-phase upgrade in their collection system to prevent excessive wastewater from getting to the county treatment plant. Here again, this community qualified for hardship, and they also qualified for a Water Infrastructure Improvement Act grant in the amounts identified. Next. Village of Arcade, Wyoming County. They are complete with their project and they're going long-term. The collection system work will involve sewer lining, manhole repair, and replacement. They were awarded an engineering planning grant in 2017 to help move that project forward. They also qualified for hardship. Next. And the Village of Little Valley in Cattaraugus County in the southern tier in western New York. Treatment plant upgrade. They were awarded an engineering planning grant back in 2013. They're done with their project now. They're doing improvements at their treatment plant, bar screen, putting in new rotating biological contactors, and also installing UV disinfection. And that's all I have.
Discussion? Okay, great. So we will now go through items 5 through 10, taking care of our procedural items. Okay. For ID number 5, could I have a motion?
That motion, Chairman.
Thank you, Vita. Could I have a second?
Second.
James, thank you. Without further discussion, all those in favor? Aye.
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 Okay. ID number 6. Can I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion.
Yeah, I can second that motion.
Thank you, Roger. Additional discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. ID number 7. Can I have a motion, please?
I can make that motion.
I can second.
Roger, thank you. All those in favor? ID number 7. Aye.
Aye.
Okay. ID number 8. Motion.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Charlie.
I'll second.
Thank you, Vita. All those in favor of item number 8?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Carried, unanimous. ID. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Francis.
I can second that.
It was Roger and Vita with seconds. All those in favor of ID number 9? Aye.
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 Finally, ID 10. I have a motion, please.
I'll make a motion, Chairman.
Thank you, Vita.
I'll second.
Thank you. That was Francis. All those in favor of ID number 10?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. 5 in a row, unanimous. Joe, do you have anything you want to finish with, or before we go to,
Yeah, and thank
New
you,
business?
Mr. Chair. I would be remiss, given our celebration of International Women in Engineering Day, not to make mention and express our gratitude to board member Vita DeMarchi for her contributions as a woman in engineering, setting a standard. So thank you as well, Vita.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Vita. Well said, Joe. Okay, so before we take a motion for adjournment, just again, welcome Adam to the board. Looking forward to working with you. Thank you to our committee chairs. Today was Francis and Charlie and KPMG for their work on the audit. Our next meeting will be Thursday, August 5th at 11:30. And hopefully we will see each other in person in the boardroom. Anything further? I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Francis.
Thank you.
Second there somewhere?
Here.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Good job, everyone. Thank you.
Good day, all.
2 months.
Joy.
Thank you.